The first game on the list is Project Stars, also known as Outer Lands. This game is the ultimate space survival game with the perfect sandbox feel. In fact, it has gotten so much attention that Tencent ended up buying it, and they are now in charge of the project. However, this game is far from done. The game is just now finishing up its second closed beta, and it might be the buggiest game I have ever played. But honestly, the concept is so amazing that I had to put it at the top of this list. In typical survival game fashion, when your spaceship lands, you are required to gather resources to build up your base. And while some of these resources are similar to an Earth survival game, the game truly captures the feel of being on a different planet. And then once you and your team build a rocket, you can travel to nearby planets to get rarer and more unique resources. Right now, the game's solar system has 5 different types of planets, including stuff like underwater planet exploration. And the devs seem to be building into the game a great blend of PvE and PvP. Almost every animal in the game can be tamed as a mount, and they are building a fairly complex skill system into the game's crafting options. Also, the game's crafting system has taken such an extreme sandbox approach that if you make something poorly, it simply won't work. You can see here that the first vehicle I made was completely unusable because I built it to where the wheels were touching each other, so I had to disassemble the car and try again. I love it when games do stuff like this because it shows that the devs know that their main focus should be to provide the tools for us to play rather than telling us how to play their game. So this game has the raw components of being the #1 survival game on the phone, but as I mentioned earlier, it still has a long way to go. That being said, now that Tencent is running the project, I have a feeling that they will make sure it gets there as quickly as possible. The second game is Project DX, which is Nexon's new Durango-inspired game. I get asked about this game more than any other game, and the simple answer is we still know almost nothing about it. There's a lot of fake trailers and a lot of fake information about this game online, and you will hear people say that it's coming out this year, but that simply is not true. This game still hasn't even been officially announced. The only reason we know about the game is because we saw Nexon's post about hiring developers earlier this year. So I would guess that we might get official news about this game this year and might see an early beta sometime in 2023. In fact, if Nexon follows the current game developer trends, this game is unlikely to come out before 2024, and quite possibly even later. Sorry to be the bringer of bad news, but this is the price we pay for learning about games before the developers have officially announced them. The third game is Valorant Mobile. From the creators of League of Legends, this game took the world by storm, amassing over 14 million players worldwide. And due to Riot's history with and dedication to esports, it quickly became the #1 FPS competitive esport game in the world. Valorant is a 5v5 tactical shooter, and the mobile gaming community has been very excited about its introduction to the platform, partially because its shorter games work well with the phone, and the 5v5 tactical gameplay is something that is somewhat rare in mobile gaming. Not completely foreign to it, but rarer than some of the other FPS formats like Battle Royale. Originally, Riot's executive producer Undawn said that the mobile version should be ready in the second full year of Valorant, which would place it in 2022. However, as the year goes on, it is becoming evident that it will be later than originally scheduled. We are now in July of 2022, and there have not been any new updates on the game's progress towards release, and Riot's general manager Justin Hulog mentioned that they will probably release the game in the Southeast Asia area first before launching globally. So without a release date set even for that softer launch, it is very unlikely the game will release this year. The fourth game is Undawn. Made by Tencent, Undawn is designed to be the ultimate survival game of all time. But it has been taking so long to release that many players joke it will never come. The game is similar to Life After, but has an open world, which is no longer unique since Life After has switched to an open world. It is designed to be super realistic, to where if you fall, you break your leg, or if you need to go to the restroom and ignore it, it may cause you some serious problems later on. Unlike Life After, the clothing is realistic for a survival survival game, which is obviously amazing, but without good skins, it makes me wonder how they plan to make their money. Another difference is that in addition to crafting weapons, you can find them in the world. So overall, it seems like an amazing survival game with everything we've been wanting, but it has been taking so long that NetEase has even come out with their own new life after before they could release the game. There have been some betas to the game that have been very difficult to get into, and the game's Facebook page keeps advertising as if it's going to come out soon, but there is even less news being released about this game from the devs than there was years ago, giving off the feeling that Tencent has all but abandoned the project. The last game on the list is what I'm calling Project Destiny. This project has never actually been announced, but when Bungie put out a job listing that they needed someone experienced with AAA mobile gaming to work for a Destiny related project, people kind of figured it out. The job listing also says that they need to be willing to travel to China often, which reminded gamers that NetEase invested $100 million into Bungie back in 2019. Being aware of NetEase's propensity to partner with US PC game companies to make mobile versions of their game, gamers rumored that Destiny Mobile would be a collaboration between them. Well, it just so happens that I can confirm this rumor is true because NetEase reached out to me late last year with a request to poll my subscribers in which they showed footage of a new project they are working on. Unfortunately, the resolution of the clip was very bad, but you can clearly see that the game is a mobile version of Destiny. I asked the devs if I could mention this, and while they said yes, they offered no official statement on what I'm sharing in this video, and they wanted viewers to know that this is just my opinion. Now, knowing NetEase, I bet you this is not going to be a PC port because they don't like to make ports. Rather, I think this is going to be a new mobile game like Destiny set in the Destiny universe. For those of you who don't know, Destiny is the world's most successful MMO shooter game, and MMOs do really well on the mobile phone, so I predict this game is going to be a huge deal. But since they haven't actually announced the game yet, there is really no chance of it coming out in 2022. Okay, so those are the top 5 mobile games that will not come out in 2022, but I do have 3 more honorable mentions for you. The first honorable mention is the mistakes I will naturally make in my other videos. One of the biggest complaints I get in my top 10 videos for mobile game genres of each year is that the games aren't out yet. That is because I'm trying to give you guys the most cutting edge information, and I usually release those videos early on in the year, so many of the games that I think will reach the top that year are not out yet. Some of the games that I've promoted this year, like Jaeger, Odin Valhalla Rising, Arena Breakout, Star Wars Hunters, Project Arrival, etc., are not yet out. The reason they are not on this list is because I'm still confident that they will come out before 2022 ends. If you watch this video to learn about future games, you might like my playlist on the top 10 games of 2022. Half of the games on those lists are still yet to be released. The second honorable mention is Project Ragnarok. This MMO being developed by NetEase has gotten somewhat overshadowed by Odin Valhalla Rising, but it is still an exciting upcoming mobile game because of their commitment to free play mechanics like the ability to jump off cliffs, jump over obstacles, and scale the cliff on the other side. Sadly, because the game is still so far off from being released, it is hard to tell how much of the fighting mechanics will actually look like the trailer implies. Personally, I'm often disappointed by the fighting mechanics in MMOs as they seldom measure up to the game trailers, but there is usually some correlation, so that keeps me excited. The reason it is not on this list is because NetEase usually implements monetization techniques that are bothersome, like adding pay-to-win aspects into some of the more competitive parts of their game. So with this expectation, this game didn't quite make the top 5. The last honorable mention is beta games in general. I have a feeling that many of you will respond to this video bothered that your game is not on here, so let me clarify that this list is not talking about all games that call themselves a beta game. It is a trend in mobile gaming right now to say your game is in beta so that players are more forgiving of bugs and are excited about upcoming changes to the game. This channel got its start from covering a game called Last Day on Earth, which now 5 years later still calls itself a beta, even though it has stopped all forms of innovating and has moved to season-based updates. So just because it defines itself as a beta does not mean it is one. Rather, this video is talking about games that that cannot be played by most people and will still remain closed off to most people until sometime after 2022. Well, that's it guys, hope that helps. If a game is not on here that you think should be on here, remember to check out my playlist with the top 10 mobile games of 2022, in which I list over 70 games you have probably never heard of. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.